Good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic. I'm your host, Neil Johnson, with maybe the greatest video I've ever produced. As we walk through this, I've pulled out historical clips that are going to totally make this case and actually have you laughing. But CNN just ended Nikki Haley's political career in the Republican Party. Check this out.
The poll is what the poll is, and all the polls seem to say that Nikki Haley beats Joe Biden by much more than Donald Trump does. I'm going to ask you the same question that Jake asked Nikki Haley today. Why doesn't that seem to matter?
I mean, this is the conundrum of this race for Republicans. We have seen there have actually been even bigger margins. At one point, she was 17 points ahead of Biden in a head-to-head matchup. But the problem is, as we live in this, the right lives in this media ecosystem where they just believe a different set of facts. And if you surround yourself with folks just consistently saying Trump is the best fighter, he's the most capable, and you've got all these congressional endorsements saying that as well, I think voters start to believe it. And they'd honestly rather risk losing with Trump than winning with Nikki Haley.
Okay, wait, isn't this the quote-unquote conservative woman from The View? Her name is Alyssa Farah Griffin. I never even knew her name. But this is absolutely spot on. We do want to risk losing with Trump rather than winning with Haley. Because winning with Haley isn't winning at all. It's just a continuation of the World Economic Forum installed globalist endless wars garbage that we've had enough with. They're so out of touch with the base. But the admissions in this video get much more startling than this.
His rock solid hold on the Republican Party feels unbreakable despite the facts that Nikki Haley is hands down a better candidate.
So, Bakari, last night, James Carville was sitting with me here saying that the longer Nikki Haley stays in the race, the happier he is. Do you agree? Is she hurting Trump in a way that could help Democrats?
First of all, the pride of South Carolina is actually in Auburn, Alabama. Her name is Dawn Staley right now, but that's neither here nor there. She's coaching tonight. But I will say this. I actually agree that Nikki Haley is doing the bidding of Democrats as we sit here today.
Did you catch that? Who's doing the bidding of Democrats right now? Nikki Haley. That is why, people, I've done so much to expose Nikki Haley. And if you look back on some of those videos I've done, and I've got a Never Nikki playlist, go check it out if you want to, because everybody needs to be informed. But she was funded by the Democrats. Just the same person that funded E. Jean Carroll's lawsuit is the same person funding Nikki Haley's campaign. So don't tell me how she's more electable. She has not even been under the microscope yet.
And I'm sitting back and I'm enjoying it. The longer she stays in this race, she's weakening Donald Trump. I mean, Donald Trump, and let's just say I play devil's advocate, and the devil really doesn't need any advocating. But the reason that Nikki Haley is doing far better in these polls is that Donald Trump has lived with the scrutiny since 2016. That light has been very bright on everything that he's done. We've gone in his history. We know who Donald Trump truly is. That light has not shone brightly on Nikki Haley just yet. And so that's why she's still doing that much better than Joe Biden.
This guy is completely spot on here, because think about Nikki Haley and the two affairs, right? So she has not been put under the microscope in the mainstream media because they don't want to cover it right now. But if she were the nominee, which she won't be, okay? But if she were, they would be going after that like mad. And you would see all these memes, the same memes that the right does about Kamala Harris being a hoe. And that's exactly what they would do to Nikki Haley. And they would leak that out across different social media platforms. And I will tell you that it would not bear well for Nikki Haley.
But look, if the Republicans don't want to choose the best candidate or the person who fares the best, then so be it. This is the result of what the Republican Party has become, which is, and I don't use this term lightly, but they become cult-like, just following people off a cliff. This is not rational. This doesn't make political sense. It doesn't make good common sense. But then you have people who are supposed to be intelligent, who represent us in the halls of Congress, who are following this circus as well.
Okay, he just made an allegation. The smart people in the halls of Congress, and he's implying Republicans. So I am about to share you solid gold video that you don't want to miss. And before I do that, speaking of solid gold, go to Midas Gold Group, MidasGoldGroup.com. And if you text Lumberjack to 232-425 or call them at 480-360-3000 and mention Lumberjack, you can get free silver with a qualifying order. Get yourself some real money, folks. Money to survive in times of economic hardship if the dollar ever collapses. As you watch these clips, I want you to know I got these off of a channel called Mr. Reagan. It's a great follow on YouTube. And then you can go watch the whole video, 10 Dumbest Things Democrats Have Ever Said.
It's just wonderful to be back in Oregon. And over the last 15 months, we've traveled to every corner of the United States. I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go.
One of the things that we Democrats have a really hard time is connecting to people's hearts instead of here. And one of the reasons that it was told to me at one of our retreats was that we Democrats know so much. That is true. And we have to kind of tell everybody how smart we are.
These are solid gold, and the next one is the best.
This is a island that at its widest level is 12 miles from shore to shore, and at its smallest location it's 7 miles between one shore and the other. Is that correct?
I don't have the exact dimensions, but to your point, sir, I think Guam is a small island.
Very small island, and about 24 miles, if I recall, long. I don't know how many square miles that is. Do you happen to know?
I don't have that figure with me, sir. I can certainly supply it to you if you'd like.
Yeah, my fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
We don't anticipate that.
Obviously not a geography expert. We're going to go back to CNN and then come back to more stupid things.
And thank you, Nikki Haley, for staying in the race and continuing to wound him.
What specifically, Bakari, or how specifically does she wound him, do you think?
Because she's using a lot of the same lines and attack lines about his character. And so what happens is if Bakari Sellers says, look, Donald Trump is old, Donald Trump is beyond the pale, Donald Trump, the E. Jean Carroll defamation suit was right and just. When we begin to hear these character attacks on Donald Trump that come from somebody who has the conservative credentials of Nikki Haley, they may start to stick. Mm-hmm. Now, they're not going to stick with the people who wear those little red hats, but they will stick with people like suburban women, independent voters, college-educated white women, those people who we need to vote for Donald Trump. The best messenger on this may not be Bakari Sellers or Joe Biden. I mean, the best messenger is actually Nikki Haley. Go, Nikki.
With the economy tanking and the open assault on women that the Democrat Party has unleashed, he's right. Democrat pundits aren't going to have as much of a way to get an inroad with suburban women, but Nikki Haley would have more of one. And so they are funding her specifically so that they can wound Trump. That's their whole point.
One of the first times I think, Bakari, you've ever said that in South Carolina. Alyssa, Jake Tapper also asked Haley about Trump's political action committee paying about $50 million, picking up the tab for his legal bills. Let's listen to that exchange.
It is unconscionable to me that a candidate would spend $50 million in legal fees. It explains why he's not doing many rallies. He doesn't have the money to do it. It explains why he doesn't want to get on a debate stage, because he doesn't want to talk about why he's doing it. It explains why he had a temper tantrum, the election night of New Hampshire, is because he wants me out of the race and he wants to be the presumptive nominee so that all of that cash starts going to him and he doesn't have to spend anymore.
It's bad enough that she would run against somebody, and I know when you're running against people, you're always going to point out their negatives, but to actually align yourself with the Democrat Party and the lawyer mob that is actually trying to take Trump down and the judicial system that has been weaponized against him shows you just how disingenuous and lousy Nikki Haley is. This is the woman who said she would not run against Donald Trump if he was the nominee. Don't ever forget that.
Words like unconscionable, temper tantrum, they weren't around a month ago.
Listen,
they really weren't.
I love this Nikki Haley and taking a kind of different approach than Bakari here. I think it's important for the country. I think hearing a credible conservative two-term former governor tell the truth about Donald Trump.
Credible conservative. Who's in a media bubble now? You ask grassroots Americans. In fact, I'd like you to answer in the comments down below. Tell me what you think of Nikki Haley. Is she a credible conservative or not? Okay? Because I don't think these people get it. They live inside the Beltway, or they live in their media bubble, and they don't understand what grassroots Americans are thinking, and we're sick of the uniparty.
The diehard fans, they think they are defending him. They think this is a witch hunt. They need to be with him. And once again, the fault does lie with other elected Republicans for actually saying these cases were witch hunts, for not coming out and telling the God's honest truth that he mishandled classified documents or the truth about January 6th. So,
oh gosh, folks. I mean, what is the truth on January 6th? Ray Epps gets nothing and other people are getting 10 years for doing less? What is the truth? All these people who are running around with bullhorns agitating the crowd, there's no interest in them. But my gosh, grannies, cancer grannies, let's go get them. This is so ridiculous. And then classified documents? Are you kidding me? I mean, when we saw Pence and Biden, you guys all remember these stories?
And Bakari, let me ask you a question specific to South Carolina, because there's a new South Carolina poll which shows Nikki Haley trailing badly there, 58-32. I always wonder about South Carolina, and maybe you can explain this to me. There's no party registration in primaries there, yet we don't see what we see in New Hampshire, where you've got this massive crossover voting in primaries there. Could there be this time? Could you see Democrats and moderates coming out to save her in the Republican primary?
Absolutely not.
That was her only hope in South Carolina, was that Democrats would cross over, and it sounds like that's a no-hoper. So that's good news. I really wish she would just drop out. I mean, we know Donald Trump is the nominee. She does keep wounding Donald Trump. That's her whole purpose in this. And she has never gone under the microscope. They try to prop her up like she's something that she isn't. And she's got plenty that's going to be destroyed in her past if she ever were to be the nominee. But I'm going to leave you with really funny stuff. I'm going to leave you with some of those more dumbest things Democrats have ever said. And we're going to get right into it here with Barack Obama. And this will show you why Trump was elected in the first place and why we need him back again. Remember, subscribe if you're new. Check this out.
How exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have? And usually the answer is he doesn't have an answer, because some of those jobs of the past are just not going to come back.
The president has delivered, at least to this point, what he promised. The manufacturing revival, the economic revival he promised in 2016 is well underway. 32,000 jobs added in manufacturing, 30,000 in construction.
What magic wand do you have? How exactly are you going to negotiate that?
Let's go sector by sector and look at the positive and negative here. A big difference here is in manufacturing, relatively higher paying jobs, where President Trump has done 386,000 more jobs, or that's been done under his presidency, than under President Obama. Wholesale trade a little bit better, and mining and logging also, that was negative under Obama.
How exactly are you going to negotiate that?
Now, some of that has to do with deregulation and some efforts by the president.
A picture of my grandfather. And my Aunt Bee has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians do, because that's how she saw it. And she said, and your mother got those same great cheekbones.
You've heard about the controversies within the bill, the process about the bill, one of the items, but I don't know if you have heard that it is a legislation for the future. It's going to be very, very exciting. But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is. Yes.